We all know Cleopatra, the queen whose name echoes through history, immortalized as a seductress, a diplomat, and a ruler who bent the mighty Roman Empire to her will. But long before Cleopatra ever set foot on the throne, there was another queen. A queen whose beauty and ambition reshaped Egypt itself, whose influence was so powerful that even pharaohs trembled in her shadow. Her name? Nefertiti. Unlike Cleopatra, Nefertiti vanished from history. Monuments that once celebrated her were defaced. Records of her reign were erased. For centuries, she existed only in whispers, a shadow in the grand story of Egypt. And yet, the question remains. Was Nefertiti merely a figure of beauty, a pawn in the hands of pharaohs, or did she wield a power so extraordinary that it rivaled, or even surpassed, the fame of Cleopatra herself? Tonight, we journey into the heart of Egypt's most secretive dynasty. We'll uncover forbidden stories, hidden power struggles, and the untold influence of a queen that history tried to erase. Nefertiti was not just a queen, she was a revolutionary. At the side of her husband Akhenaten, she shattered centuries of Egyptian tradition. Together, they abandoned the old gods, closing temples, and declared one god above all, the Aten, the sun disk. Nefertiti's power was not behind the throne. She stood equal to her king, her image carved on temple walls smiting enemies, a role reserved for pharaohs alone. Some scholars even believe she ruled Egypt in her own name after Akhenaten's death, hidden under another identity. For a queen of the 14th century BC, this was unthinkable. She was not just the king's wife, she was Egypt itself. Cleopatra VII lived in a very different Egypt. The once mighty empire had crumbled, now a prize for Rome's generals. But Cleopatra refused to bow. Fluent in multiple languages, a master of politics and seduction, she turned her throne into a stage of resistance. She captivated Julius Caesar, then bound Rome's most powerful general, Mark Antony, to her side. Together, they dreamed of reviving Egypt's empire, challenging the might of Rome itself. Cleopatra did not just sit on a throne, she played the world's greatest empire against itself. Her reign ended in tragedy, but her name became immortal. For over 3,000 years, history has tried to capture them in one word, beauty. Nefertiti's face, frozen in time, stares back at us from her iconic bust, now one of the most recognized images in the world. Cleopatra, meanwhile, was immortalized on silver coins, her profile etched by her own command, daring to define herself in a man's world. But beauty, in Egypt, was never vanity, it was power. It was a divine aura, a visible sign of legitimacy. Nefertiti harnessed this aura to rise beyond the role of consort. She wasn't just the king's wife, she appeared as Pharaoh, a living goddess, smiting enemies with her own hand. In the rigid order of ancient Egypt, this was more than shocking, it was revolutionary. Cleopatra's beauty, on the other hand, was weaponized by her enemies. Roman propaganda painted her as a seductress, a woman who conquered men through desire. But the truth was far sharper. Cleopatra was a master strategist, fluent in politics, languages, and culture. She bent the world's greatest men to her vision not through appearance alone, but through intellect, charm, and an unshakable will. Both women show us a truth history often hides: beauty may capture attention, but it is power that defines legacy. So, who held more power? Was it Nefertiti, the queen who ruled during Egypt's golden age, her image carved alongside kings, her voice echoing in the hymns to Aten? Or was it Cleopatra, who stood defiant as Rome tightened its grip, a queen who dared to fight an empire with nothing but her wits and alliances? Nefertiti's power was divine. She stood at the center of a revolution, embodying a new religion, reshaping Egypt itself. Her power was untouchable, written into the very fabric of the gods. Cleopatra's power was political, and fragile. She fought every day to hold her throne, to outmaneuver Rome, to keep Egypt free. Her victories were fleeting, her end tragic, but her defiance made her unforgettable. Where Nefertiti ruled in stability, Cleopatra thrived in chaos. In truth, they represent two faces of power, one born from divine kingship, the other from sheer human will. One carved into stone, the other etched into legend. And so, the question may not be who was more powerful, but who still holds power over us today, in our imagination, our art, our fascination. Nefertiti, the queen who became a god. Cleopatra, the queen who became a legend. Two women, two empires, two legacies that defy time itself. Power takes many forms. And in Egypt, power never truly dies. Which queen would you crown as the most powerful? Share your thoughts below. And if you love uncovering the mysteries of Egypt's queens, gods, and pharaohs, join us here at Ancient Egypt Unveiled, where history isn't just told, it's resurrected.